When was the last time Assassin's Creed was actually about, oh, I don't know, the assassins and the creed of tenets their order follows?
We are nothing if we do not abide by the Assassin's Creed. 3 simple tenets, which you seem to forget. I will remind you. First and foremost, stay your blade.
From the flesh of an innocent.
The second tenet is that which gives us strength. Hide in plain sight. Let the people mask you such that you become one with the crowd. The third and final tenet. The worst of all your betrayals. Never compromise the Brotherhood.
Mirage was sort of a return to form, even though you still have teleporting assassinations and, that were introduced in Odyssey. And before that, it wasn't until the very, very end of Origins did the Assassin's Creed moniker finally rear its head. Understandable, as it's the origins of the Hidden Ones, who eventually have a name rebrand as Assassins. Now, we're finally getting the Assassin's Creed game we have always wanted with the upcoming release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Or are we? No, I don't care that one of the protagonists is black or the other is a woman. I don't know who cares about any of that crap. If they're good written characters, that is literally all that matters. What worries me is, once again, we may not be following the Assassin's Creed, which is sad because this time period and setting, to me, is perfect for it. Now, I'm going to go over some of the new gameplay details that were revealed first, and then I'll go into what I think should be done with the story. Now, as for the gameplay things, there's the differences between Naoe and Yasuke. Obviously, she's going to lean more into the new stealth mechanics. Like, they've revealed that there's going to be crawling, going prone, and using a grappling hook to reach higher vantage points. Yasuke, on the other hand, who is the samurai, is able to block or parry attacks in combat, whereas Naoe can't. She can only deflect attacks, not parry them. Kind of like in Ghost of Tsushima, if you don't get the parry timing right, you just kind of block it and push the sword out of the way. There are some more differences between them, but it's all just fluff, especially... essentially, if you want to go full stealth, you pick Naoe. If you want to blaze through an area with fast combat, you pick Yasuke. As Ubisoft has said, you can freely switch between the two, like in Syndicate, but there will obviously be missions where you are forced to play as one or the other for story reasons. Now, the absolute biggest change, and something that has been in Assassin's Creed since the very beginning with the first game in 2007, is the reimagining of synchronization points. In the last 3 games specifically, climbing to the top no longer, puts a bunch of icons on your map. Nor does it trigger, the spinning camera effect where you have the eagle flying around you of the area. Instead, from this vantage point, you're able to survey the area for highlighted points of interest, which you can then seek out when you're back on the ground. Ubisoft expressed a wish for there to be less icons this time around, and so this appears to be their way of fulfilling that. However, this kind of worries me, as the locations that would normally appear on the map are still there. They're just not visible to you unless you select them from the top of the synchronization point. Does that mean we have to climb up, the tower every time we want to select a new place to track? In the last 3 RPG games, Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, you could change a setting in the menu to exploration, which is an option people could take if they didn't want all the icons. You can just come across these things organically or miss them entirely. So to remove that option entirely is a bit weird, but thankfully, despite this change, synchronization points will still act as a fast travel, location. What also worries me, and what excites, others, is again the non-linearity of the mission structure. Shadows features a non-linear campaign, largely focused on just assassinating targets. Ubisoft has said you'll be free to track these specific assassination targets in any order. Some exist in the world that you may stumble upon, or just by wandering around, without having even knowing who they are. You might kill them and then boom, there it goes. Others have more structured infiltration-style gameplay attached to them, so kind of like what Unity did when you had multiple ways to complete this one mission, but it is very structured. It gives you a little bit of freedom. But most main quests, you can play as either Yasuke or Naoe, allowing for a freedom of approach of how you want to complete the mission. However, both characters also have their own specific missions playable only by them. So it's going to have a Assassin's Creed Syndicate feel with just a bigger gameplay difference between the two than we saw with Evie and Jacob, whereas he was more like a brawler and she was better with like stealth. This is going to be like the same thing, but I'm guessing way bigger differences. So my hopes are for what I talked about in the beginning was what I was hoping they would do with this story and would be a nice twist. I don't think this is going to happen, but this is like a wish of mine, is for Naoe to be following the Creed and that the samurai are actually the Templars, making Yasuke a Templar. Think about it. The samurai were all about honor and order and discipline, and it just feels very Templar to me. And the shinobi or the ninja were the exact opposite and are basically assassins. The last time we got to experience like the war between Templars and assassins from a Templar's point of view was way back in Assassin's Creed Rogue, and then even before that, we only had a little bit with Assassin's Creed 3 with Haytham Kenway, arguably one of the best, if not the best, characters, playable characters, and just characters in general in the whole franchise. So I think it's high time that we experience their point of view again as the samurai in Shadows. I just think it'd be a great shift of perspective of these two things, because we know in history, as we think of samurai as honorable and these things, and to give it a little bit of a twist to make them the Templars, and just to see that they are still honorable, they just do things in a very different way in terms of, they want order to create peace. So that's my hopes and wishes for it. Do I think they're going to do it? Not even close. I don't think they're going to be, anyway, they're going to be both basically assassins, unfortunately. But who knows? Hopefully the gameplay looks great. But, who really knows with Ubisoft in 2024. I wouldn't be pre-ordering anything from them, and I'm shocked that the game pre-orders are so high, especially with like the $130 options. It's just ridiculous.